it's Big Pete. Today I'm going to tie a fly I call Three Thumbs Mickey. This is a fly I've been fishing a little bit recently with some pretty good success. It's actually a fly that even my buddy Gordon Vanderpool has looked at and said that that's a proven winner and a hunter. So you know it's got to be good when old Gordo puts his eyeball on that thing and approves. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a Scud midge hook, and that's a size 14 with a 2.7 countersunk brown metallic bead on it. You can tie this down to 16, 18 and up to a 10 if you really wanted to. And I'm just going to wrap backwards with touching turns and get a decent thread base going. And we're going to wrap it back a good ways. I don't like to go down too far where it starts to get where I'm going actually down in an up and down fashion on the hook shank. I feel like if you go too far down, with materials, you can inhibit the hook set potentially, but I do want to take it down a good ways and get some good coverage. This is goose biot, stripped goose biots, and what I'm going to do is take a biot from here. That's golden stone is the color of that particular one. And I'm going to tie it in. That curvature is going to be slightly up. And I'm going to tie in just the very tip of that. And wrap forward. Now, what I want to do here, it's not uncommon for that thing to slip out of your hackle pliers, and I also want to build the durability of this fly, so I'm going to take just a touch of Zap-A-Gap on that thread base, and that should help that wrap and stick to it. I'm going to take some hackle pliers. These are the Paraloon hackle pliers. And I'm going to begin wrapping this up. I actually don't mind if I'm not touching exactly and leave a little bit of that black thread showing. And I'm going to take that up to behind the hook bead. We're going to wrap back down a little bit with a back to this fly, so I don't have to worry about it coming all the way up behind the bead, real pretty up top. I'm going to trim off that excess and then make some wraps to cover us here. I'm actually going to take it back a little bit there, and we're going to come in with a piece of thin skin that I've trimmed, and this is a mottled color. You can use a straight scud back and a brown if you want to here. And I'm going to tie this in just behind the bead and work that backwards about a bead's length. And then come in with a thorax. For the thorax, I'm going to use some ice dubbing. This is a pheasant tail colored ice dubbing. And I'm not going to try and dub this on super heavy or super tightly. I'm going to leave it fairly loose as I put it on, because I don't mind if that stuff sticks out as I come up. Next thing we're going to grab is a feather. This feather is from the pheasant tail skin, or pheasant skin rather. The pheasant skin is not a super expensive material. I can't remember what it runs for a whole skin, but to me this is a must-have material in your box, or in your tying arsenal rather. It's just something that can be used for so many things. There's feathers you can use for soft hackles, tails. In this case, we're going to create some legs up front with it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my hackle pliers and grab the middle of this thing. And then I'm going to preen those fibers backwards. And then I'm going to cut that tip out right there. So we're going to be left with this. And when I bring some of those fibers back up, we don't want to bring them all up. I'm going to strip a good number of these and leave us with something that looks like that. This is going to be what I work with for our legs, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this right here on the top and take my fingers and pinch that around at the appropriate length that I want the legs. And then I'm going to come in with a loose wrap behind that bead and then pull up on it. And that way we get our legs set. Come around in front with a couple touching turns. And then I need to trim this excess. This can be a little bit tricky because it does wrap around, and it's not uncommon to have some ugly fibers that are sticking out still up front. So what you'll want to do is come in, and I'll make a bunch of thread turns to get that pulled back and covered. Once I've done that, I'm going to come over top with the thin skin. And we're going to wrap that over a couple times. And then I'll come in front a couple times. We're going to pull pretty tight on this to stretch it and trim it. And then a couple of thread wraps just to kind of clean that up a little bit. At this point I'll take my Zap-A-Gap again and just put a touch on my thread. And then we will go to the whip finish and get that whipped up with a few turns. Trim off the excess thread and you are good to go. This is a nice little nymph that's going to be in that natural coloration spectrum. It's going to sink good for you, give you a nice little buggy look. Give this one a try. It's the Three Thumbs Mickey, and please subscribe to my channel. For these materials and all of your fly fishing needs, please visit BigTFlyFishing.com.